In episode 2, we established the ultimate rule of the matrix. You are not a magnet trying to pull things toward you. You are a projector, rendering reality from the inside out using the code in your 4 bodies. So, here is the million-dollar question. If you are the one projecting the movie, why is it so incredibly hard to change the channel? Why does your reality feel so stubborn, so heavy, and so resistant to your visualizations? Welcome to episode 3 of the Advanced Manifestation Protocol. The reason traditional manifestation fails is that we are trying to use infinite quantum power while completely locked inside a tiny, pre-programmed box. We try to manifest wealth and freedom, but we do it while secretly believing the rules of the simulation are absolute. Today, we are going to discuss why your beliefs are hardened like concrete and how to develop what we call the Lucid Perspective. You cannot break the rules of the game until you truly realize you are playing one. From the moment you logged into this avatar, you were handed a script by society, your parents, and your teachers. You were taught the boundaries of reality. You were told you have to work hard for money. You reap what you sow. Life is a struggle. These are not universal truths. These are just group consensus realities. Because millions of people agree to these rules, they manifest collectively as the boundaries of our society. But here is how the trap actually works on an individual level. Let's say you hold the subconscious belief. Money is incredibly hard to get. Your projector beam shoots that code into the 3D world. The universe obeys and renders a situation where your bank account is overdrawn. Now pay very close attention to what happens next. You look at your overdrawn bank account, you feel the stress, and your mind says, "See, I told you money was hard to get. Look at the proof." You just use the projected illusion to verify your own belief. You do this thousands of times a year. You project a limitation, experience the limitation, and then use the experience as proof that the limitation is an absolute truth. Over decades, that code hardens into concrete. This is why sitting down for 5 minutes to affirm "I am a millionaire" doesn't work. You are trying to overwrite a file that you have been intensely verifying as truth for 50 years. When the bills arrive, your reality instantly defeats your affirmation. So, how do we break concrete? How do we soften these deep-rooted, hardened beliefs in our 4 bodies so we can finally overwrite the code? You cannot fight them one by one. It is too exhausting. There is only one way to soften all of your hardened beliefs simultaneously. You must establish the lucid perspective. If you are having a terrifying nightmare, you don't try to negotiate with the monsters. You simply realize, "Oh, this is a dream." The moment you realize you are dreaming, the monsters instantly lose their power. You become lucid. You can control the environment. You must apply this exact same awareness to your waking life. You have to look at your bank account, your relationship problems, and your physical stress and fully admit this is not real. Now, when we say not real, we don't mean it doesn't exist. You can still touch it, you still have to pay the bills. By not real, we mean it is not fixed. It is not an absolute unchanging truth. It is entirely malleable. It is just an echo of your old code. If you view the 3D world as an absolute solid reality, you will remain a prisoner to it. But the second you adopt the lucid perspective, the second you look at a stressful situation and say, "This is just a temporary projection, I can change this anytime," you loosen your death grip on the illusion. The concrete begins to soften. And for the first time in your playthrough, you have the power to write a new script. Once you establish the lucid perspective and realize this is all just a malleable temporary projection, how do you actually apply it when life gets hard? The "so what" philosophy. When you are terrified of a specific outcome, like losing your job or running out of money, you are locked in a tiny boundary of fear. You are gripping the controller so tightly your knuckles are white. But what if you looked at your absolute worst-case scenario and just said, "So what?" Imagine you lose all your money and all your friends distant with you. So what? It's just an experience. It's just a temporary storyline in a game that lasts a few decades. When the game is over, you can't take the money or the bridge with you anyway. The moment you can truly look at a terrifying situation and say, "So what? I will still be fine," you completely neutralize the fear in your emotional body. And because beliefs manifest reality, when you no longer have a deep, gripping fear of being poor, you simply stop manifesting poverty. The only thing actually worth pursuing in this game is internal, eternal peace. When you hold that neutral vibration, the external world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Now, you might be asking, if I am the one projecting all of this, why does it feel like it's happening to me? Why didn't I see it coming? This is what we call the linear glitch. When you generate a belief in your mental and emotional bodies, the projection is instantaneous and non-linear. It's like a wild, chaotic daydream. But when that code is processed by the 3D rendering engine of Earth, it has to obey the rules of time and space. It takes time to render, it has a delay, and more importantly, the universe stitches it into a logical, linear story. So you project a vibration of lack on Tuesday, but the manifestation doesn't hit until 3 weeks later when your car suddenly breaks down. Because of the time delay and the logical storyline, your avatar brain gets tricked. You think, "I didn't create this. The mechanic is just a scammer." You blame the external world. You forget that you are the projector simply because the movie took a few weeks to develop in the darkroom. The Lucid Perspective reminds you to look past the time delay and recognize your own code coming back to you. To stop falling for the glitch, you must practice stepping out of the story. A powerful technique called pressing pause. Imagine you are in the movie theater watching a very intense, stressful thriller. Your heart is pounding. But if the projector suddenly pauses, the theater lights come up. You look around and you instantly remember, "Oh, I'm not actually in a car chase, I'm just sitting safely in a chair." When you encounter drama in your real life, an angry boss, a stressful bill, you must mentally hit the pause button. Stop reacting. Do not define the situation as good or bad. Just sit in the empty theater of your own awareness. You are the pure observer. You are not the character on the screen, you are the awareness watching the character. It is one thing to understand the lucid perspective intellectually, but it is another thing entirely to actually hold that state when the matrix throws a stressful event at you. Sometimes your avatar's programming is just too strong. This is exactly where your practical toolkit comes in. If you are struggling to step out of the story, grab your BodyMaitre charts. First, connect with your cat, your Collective Angelic Team. Once you are connected, you are going to use your pendulum to ask 2 specific diagnostic questions. 1. What elements within my 4-body system might be blocking me from mastering the lucid perspective consciousness? 2. What elements within my 4 bodies are blocking me from pressing the pause button, preventing me from staying in observer mode for my current life issues? Let the pendulum guide you through the charts. You might find an old ancestral program in your spiritual body or a deep-seated fear of losing control in your mental body. Once you have identified all the blocks, programming, and interferences hiding in your system, you know exactly what to do. You use your BodyMaitre commands to clear them out, completely transforming that dense, glitchy code into supported, high-frequency energies. Do not skip this work. Mastering the lucid dreamer perspective, learning to hit the pause button, and holding your ground in pure observer mode, these are not just advanced spiritual concepts. They are the absolute fundamental steps you must take to master the law of manifestation in this Earth Online game. You cannot rewrite the code if you are still hypnotized by the screen. Why is it so urgent that we learn this pure observer perspective now? Because eventually the game ends. When your physical avatar dies, you enter the bardo, the loading screen between lives. Without a physical brain to buffer the data, your emotions are amplified 1,000 times over. If a minor inconvenience in traffic makes you lose your temper now, what do you think will happen when the loading screen amplifies your deepest unhealed fears? You will panic, get sucked back into the illusion, and the algorithm will force you to respawn right back into the matrix. This is the ultimate purpose of your BodyMaitre practice. We don't just clear our four bodies to get a nicer car. We use our command deck to clear our fears, our past life contracts, and our societal programming today so that we can hold the pure observer state permanently. When you soften your code and clear your attachments, you become a lucid manifester. You gain total control of your projector. I'm Darreck. Keep your perspective lucid and keep clearing your code.